Now, weather-worn day, we're tracking rain that could drench Friday's commute from beginning to end.
And a violent end to Thursday night football. Look at this. A brawl in the field. A player bashed on the head with his own helmet. And the possible suspensions coming. Reactions pouring in on the feeds tonight, as you might imagine. And we're tracking the very latest developments. But first, we're just getting updates on a stakeout that ended tonight in Everett with police sergeant tasing a man twice.
That man is now in critical condition. The confrontation played out along one of the busiest roads in Everett, Broadway Avenue. KOMO's Cole Miller is live in Everett now with the very latest for us. Cole?
Well, Mary Preston, good evening. 6 hours after the fact, we still have a pretty active investigation on our hands out here. This all started at around 5 o'clock tonight when a Lake Stevens detective was tracking a 39-year-old man out of that city. He was at an appointment just down the street, and it was believed he was in unlawful possession of firearms. Now, while all of this was playing out, we're told a separate search warrant was executed at his home. We're told that was for the family's safety because they wanted those guns out of his hands as well. Behind the crime scene tape, investigators are trying to piece together what played out along this busy Everett street. We learned a wanted man was inside this place, Compass Health off Broadway near 33rd, and there was intel that he was armed. A detective making that call.
She contacted the Everett Police Department to let them know that they could possibly have an armed and dangerous person within the city.
From there, as he left and started up the sidewalk, there was some kind of a confrontation with officers. A sergeant fired his taser twice, and seconds later, that man collapsed.
Everett Police immediately requested aid units and started performing aid on the suspect.
Before he was rushed to the hospital, we're told that 2 firearms were found on him. We don't know if he reached for either one. His clothing could be seen sitting there near the street. And tonight we have also learned that beginning earlier this month, Lake Stevens PD was working with that man's family to establish probable cause for an extreme risk protection order. SMART, the Snohomish County multiple agency response team, is now handling this investigation. Back to you.
Cole Miller live tonight in Everett. Thank you, Cole. Those extreme risk protection orders Cole mentioned became law here in Washington in 2016. They allow family members or household members to request that a person be restricted from having guns if there's evidence that person is a danger to themselves or others.
Now to developing news. A brawl erupts on the field during Thursday night football. Steelers quarterback Mason Rudolph was hit in the head with his own helmet. Let's go right to KOMO Sports Director Mike Frary with a possible punishment for the violent end to this game. It was brutal, Mike.
Yeah, it sure was, Mary. There will be suspensions for what happened tonight in Cleveland. The NFL endlessly promotes player safety, and what happened tonight between the Browns and Steelers will leave them no choice but to come down hard on the players involved. It happened late in the game and went well in hand for the Browns when Myles Garrett of the Browns takes down Steelers quarterback Mason Rudolph. In the middle of the scuffle, former Bellevue High player David DeCastro there, number 66. Rudolph's helmet comes off, ends up in Myles Garrett's hands, and he smacks him. Then in comes Marquise Pouncey, ends up kicking him. This was just a despicable display of behavior on the NFL level tonight on everyone's part that was involved. Garrett, Ogunjobi, and Pouncey were all ejected in this game. It was an ugly display of humanity. They'll review it at the league office tomorrow. Suspensions will not take long. Myles Garrett, the one who swung the helmet, he may end up with a season-long suspension. Actually, for the rest of this season. This may not be over. The Browns face the Steelers in Pittsburgh on December 1st. Mary?
Mike, thank you. Reactions started pouring in on social media right after that melee. Former Seahawk Walter Jones tweeted at Myles Garrett. Take a look, saying, quote, "There are consequences for your actions, young man. I hope you learn from this and understand that you did more harm to the game than good. The league will hand out a punishment, and you need to accept it."
Get ready for a slow and messy commute tomorrow. We're tracking a weather-worn day. Shannon O'Donnell here timing out the rain. Shannon?
Yeah, that's right, because the timing is exactly when we're all trying to get on the roadways there to work and school. Look at the weather issues for Friday morning. Well, the rain standing out, right? Because that's going to be the biggest problem. A little bit of gusty wind, too, but it's really the rain. And, of course, we're used to dealing with the rain, but it is coming smack dab in the middle of that morning drive. Here's a look at why. Satellite and radar pictures showing the leading edge of the front is just offshore, but it's going to move right over the Olympic Peninsula overnight. We're using